notice, the name is Derek. I thought I'd actually record this message so that I can tell you a little bit more about myself, and what I'm about and who I am and why I believe I'm actually a good candidate. I'm from South Africa, as you can hear by the accent. I grew up there. I left South Africa in 2012. We first went to New Zealand, then we came through to Northern Ireland. And the reason why I left South Africa was because the crime just got so hectic that it was no longer a matter of where you lived. It was just a matter of time before it affected you. In South Africa, we all knew or know somebody that was robbed, somebody that was murdered, somebody that was raped. One of my mates in South Africa, his daughter was gang raped while he was tied up and had to watch this whole affair. It nearly ruined him. She, however, she's victorious. She is a hero. She got up and she became a spokeswoman for those women that are raped. So she's actually championing right now in South Africa. Her name is actually Jess Ford. If you'd like to actually go onto Facebook, look her up. Amazing, amazing woman. Powerful, powerful woman. But yeah, it's one of the reasons why we left South Africa, my wife, my daughter and I. And the reason why, as well as, you know, I wanted to raise my daughter in a free country, not bound by fear, you know. And I think the reason why I'm running now is because I'm frustrated with the government, with these parties that are in our government, and the whole fear propaganda machine, because it's a fear propaganda machine that is literally dominating our radios, our TV, every single thing is just fear, 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 fear. And I'm telling you one thing, the people here in Northern Ireland are good people. They are. They're good people that have been divided by politics. You know, one side you have unionism, and the other side you have republicanism. And it's not proper republicanism either. You know, true republicanism is representational democracy. That's true republicanism. It's where you get, where your voice is heard and you get represented. That is called representational or republicanism, true republicanism. Irish republicanism at this moment is not true republicanism. It's a distorted view of it, and I understand why it's there. You know, everyone says the IRA are bad. Yes, they are. I do not back them. I do not condone them, but I also won't condone the British. I don't condone what they did, because they were cruel as well. You know, I come from a country where the Boers were put it, you know, during the Boer War, the British put the Boer women and children into concentration camps. So we know what it's like to be at the mercy of the British, you know, and I understand the plight of the Irish people against the British there, but I also understand why the Unionists are scared of having a united Ireland. However, I subscribe to I call it my what I subscribe to. You know, it's basically I'm part of the Freedom Alliance, and we're part of the island of Ireland. We don't believe in discrimination, and one of the things that we actually stand against is called sectarianism. I stand against sectarianism altogether, and I believe that any society that is sectarianism, that prohibits somebody based on creed, color, religion, or anything like that, shouldn't be. Actually, it goes against well, Christian values. Christianity has got nothing. You know, we don't. Christians do not condemn because of creed and color. We accept and we try and reach out and stuff like that. So anything that's secretive and that's sectarianism, I stand against, and you know, Freedom Alliance as well, and that's who I subscribe to as, you know, as what I'm going to stand for as well. I came here in 2013. I'm a hardworking Irishman, and I call myself an Irishman because even though I grew up in South Africa, my roots are in Ireland. My roots are actually Cork. But yeah, I subscribe and I will adhere to Christian values. And when I say Christian values, I mean by Christian law. You know, the law stipulates, and it's actually biblical. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. These are principles that are from the Bible, and those are good principles. But also, what comes from the Bible, and people don't realize, is that our rights do not come from government. Our rights actually come from God Himself, and government has no right at all to entrench on inherent rights. That means our right to live, our right to buy property, our right to pursue happiness, our right to prepare for our future, our right to leave an inheritance for our children, our right to look after and prepare our children for the future and give them a good education, and also our right not to be propagated. And I believe that what's actually happened in the schools and what's going on now is that children are being propagated, and not just that, they're being brainwashed to think a certain way, behave a certain way, because this is what the government wants, and this is what's coming. I believe that government has no right to inject their theology or their ideology into our children. That is actually supposed to be left to the children, to the parents of the children. As parents, I believe that we need to look after our own children. We need to instill discipline and so forth and so on, you know. And so far, you know, that's something that I will tackle is bringing the parent back to raising the child. You know, one of the things that I've looked at since moving to Northern Ireland is, or moving to the UK as such, has been that the government actually pays for your child. And when the government pays for your child, you know, with this child credits and all of this, they actually are paying you to look after what they consider their child. So the government's taking control over this. Now, I actually am against socialism in general. And I'm going to read this because I think that it will actually very much interest you in what I believe, really. You know, let me read this to you quickly. I think that it's really good. Just bear with me. I'm going to... yeah, so here goes. Okay, so Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto in 1848, relating it to what they called scientific socialism. The 20th century and beyond are fraught with examples of embarrassing failures, and these failures are like your former Soviet Union, Venezuela, North Korea, Cuba, Soviet era Germany, just to name a few, and right now in China as well. China's just as bad, you know. So despite this dubious history, we currently have high-profile political leaders. You know, these political leaders come from parties like Sinn Féin, SDLP. All of these leaders of these leftists are very much socialists. Now, I don't really have much good to say about the unionist leaders either, because you see, Westminster is very much socialism as well. So we've got Westminster as well as Dublin. You know, they're both socialist governments, but they're pushing their agenda onto Northern Ireland. Now, I oppose that very, very vehemently. I believe in representational democracy, which is true republicanism, which means that you should have a voice in how your government has been running. Right now, all the government does is once every 4 years or 5 years, just bear with me for a second, once every 4 or 5 years, we have an election, and basically they come around and nothing happens. You know, they'll ask us, and that one time we'll have a little voice, and then that's it, nothing happens. And that's what frustrates me. That's why I'm running. I'm a person like you. I worked hard. I work hard. At the moment, I'm in a job still. I still work. I work with disabled people. I deal with a department we call ourselves accessibility. We deal with care alarms, and we deal with other forms of disability. So if right through the night, I basically work at night as well. Right through the night, if somebody has an issue or something like that and you're disabled, we'll look after you. And most of the time that I find with people that are disabled, they just want someone to listen. And that's really what it is all about, is listening and listening. And I've learned a lot. When you listen to people, you understand what they're about. During this 2 years, one of the things that has really, really affected Northern Ireland is mental illness. And it's something that I've dealt with now over the time, and people just cannot handle it anymore. They are desperate, and it's just gotten so bad. People are battling financially. There's a saying that these other guys have been saying, that the politicians, they love to say we're in the same boat. And I say, no, rubbish. We're not in the same boat. We're in the same ocean. Some people are in yachts. Some people are in rafts, and some are just wading their heads above water, and they're just surviving. It's one thing to say to somebody, we're all in this together, when you've got no risk of losing your salary. Politicians have got they haven't suffered. These 2 years they haven't suffered. Their salaries have gone up, not down, while businesses and livelihoods have been wasted because of what politicians have deemed that is right and wrong. We haven't had a choice. We haven't had any referendums to decide anything. You see, that's the thing, though. It's one thing to push, like, say, for instance, abortion onto a nation. I'm not going to give you my opinion on abortion, because at the end of the day, we should have had a referendum. So whether you agree with abortion or not, you should have had your say. You should have been the one to say yay or nay, we want or we don't want. And the majority rule then would have been, okay, fine, we follow that rule, because that is democracy. That is what representational democracy is all about. I oppose a lot of things. Even in Twitter, they ask me, "Oh, what are you running for? Will you stand with us? Will you stand with us?" And I'm going, I haven't even answered them, because I'm going, no, why should I stand with you? The people of Northern Ireland need to make that for themselves. My constituency need me to fight for for their voice. They have certain things that they want to fight for. They live normal lives, and people, that's exactly it. People have a hard life already as it is. Now, all of these things that say, we stand for this, we stand for that, they all have repercussions. For instance, climate change. Climate change, the government will add tax in it, and then what happens to that tax? We pay the tax. And it affects us, everything that the government decides, and then they push and say, oh no, but we've got to worry about this. Look, if you want to fight for climate change, fine, but it's got to be your choice, not just government. I'm tired of government nannying us and telling us what's good for us. We are adults, we should know what's good for us. I used climate change as an example because that's something that's going to cost us down the long run. Things that like raising the petrol price and stuff like that. These are things that are directly affected by what government does. The general man on the floor, the man on the street, he just wants to go to work, get a good salary, come home, look after have a roof over his head, food in his belly, have a good future for his kids, and have a peaceful life. The pursuit of happiness. I think we all deserve that. That's what I'm about. I'm one of you. I feel that's exactly what I feel. I feel that for me, that's what I want for myself. I want to be happy. I want a future for my child. I want a future for myself. And a good job with a good salary. You see, but I do oppose career politicians. I believe that a politician should stay in power for 2 terms and then out quickly. And during those 2 terms, get a good salary. I've got no problem with the good salary, between 35,000 to 55,000 per annum. I think it's a very good salary. you won't go wrong there, but nothing more than that. We've got to cap the salary at that, and if they want to go and do look after their the future, pay towards retirement and what have you, it comes out of the salary. It shouldn't be over and above. When we earn our money, these things get taken out of our salary. We pay for it. So it should be the same with politicians. They're our servants. We're there to serve the public. That's what it is. I also want to bring the police back to that kind of arena, that they're there to serve and help the public. That's what it was always supposed to be. At the moment, we're getting dictated to by government. They're becoming our dictators. I do not believe democracy is in fact at all. It never has been in Northern Ireland. We've got two parties that are exactly as strong as the other, and every time they don't get what they want, they have temper tantrums. Think about it. Every time they don't want, they have temper tantrums, walk out, and suddenly we have another election. And there's another one I want. The person that's running the country, like for instance, at the moment, Jeffrey, whatever, he's in power, but nobody voted for him. The last time we voted in a party was DUP. That party was voted in. Actually, it was a different leader. And that's the thing. We don't get to vote that. And that's why I'm standing as an independent, because I believe in my heart that independents are accountable to the people rather than to party. A party member has to vote what the party tells them to vote. An independent, we get to vote what we want to vote for, and we are accountable to the people. We get you to voice your, to use your voice, and we will fight for you that way. Yes, I have my manifesto. My manifesto is based on the Freedom Alliance. If you want to look it up, have a look on my page as well. I have left it in my messages, and I'll actually give you the message. And you can have a look up at the Alliance, Freedom Alliance, what we stand for. That's my general manifesto. But I'm not bound by that as much as the Unionists and Republicans are bound by their what do you call it? Their manifestos and what their parties have to tell them to do. I'm loyal to the people that have put me into the place. For instance, if Fermanagh and South Tyrone vote for me and put me into a place where I will be, when I get to Stormont, then I fight for them. And haven't you also noticed that politicians, they love to come around when it's time for voting, but then afterwards you don't see them. Even the offices, when I phoned the offices when I first got here to try and see if I can help from politicians, they're all full of promises, but not one of them came to look out for me. They don't actually care about us. So I'm sorry, you know what, we have to have people in place that actually are our voice, and I'm willing to be your voice, whatever you feel. Look, ultimately, though, it's what the majority want. So I will be going from place to place, asking people, what do you want me to fight for? What is big on your heart? And when I find the majority of that's what's called democracy. The majority of people will say, right, we want to actually have this in our county. And then I'll go, well, that's okay. So then we'll fight for that, within the umbrella, of course, of freedom of speech and freedom and democracy. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. My conviction is to stand up for the people of Fermanagh and South Tyrone. That's my conviction. That's what I want to do. And hopefully we have enough independents that will get into Stormont so that we can revolutionize the Stormont government. And actually, just between, not between you now, but to let you know that one of my visions is that when we choose a first minister and a second minister, that must be chosen by the people. So when you have independents that have run, you've got a whole group of that, we can actually put a referendum and say, right, these are the two people up for for first minister and second minister. What do the public think? And then we put it to the public, and they actually vote on who they believe should be running the country. That is called democracy. The party, obviously, hopefully, will get to be strong enough. But the ideology is, we want to talk for you. We want to speak for you. And obviously, I know that I am new to the game. I've never been into politics before. This is my first time. And the reason why I'm in here is because I am frustrated with politicians. Thank you for listening. Hopefully, I've given you a little bit about myself. And hopefully, if you ever need help, let me know. That's the idea of it, is because we want to make sure, myself, I want to make sure that you're okay. That's at the end of the day what we want to do. Give you a future, give you a voice. Because at the moment, our future looks bleak. Let's change it. Let's make Northern Ireland the best country in the UK, and not just in the UK, but in the rest of the EU as well. As for autonomy, I'm looking at a Northern Ireland that is as autonomous as Isle of Man. We make our own decisions. And Isle of Man, their taxes go to them. It doesn't go to Stormont. To Westminster. Our taxes goes to Westminster, and we then have to plead the government to give our money back to us while we're paying the taxes. I don't think it's fair. It's not representational. Let's fight that. Let's get it back to here. Let's fix our roads, our hospitals, and all of that, because we can utilize that money. NHS can be made better if we get a proper funding, but also not just proper funding, but people that are not corrupt in government. Okay, well, that's me in a nutshell, and I'd like to talk to you more. If you ever want to just give me a shout and what have you, you're welcome to do so, and I will talk to you on a one-to-one basis if you want. You can ask me all the questions you want, and I'll answer them. Thank you so much, Gladys, and hopefully you have a good evening. Thank you so much for asking the questions, obviously. Thank you, and good night.